Hey everyone, it's John here from Hot Take Hockey, back with another video, and this is going to be my final bracket predictions. I'm going to make it a little bit different. I've heard you guys out. I've thought about possible upsets. I've thought about teams that will be coming in hot. I'm going to make my final prediction. So this will be based on the reseeding format. So I will do reseeding through each matchup, through each round, and it's going to be very interesting. So, of course, if you are new to the channel, please subscribe. I appreciate everyone going forward on the channel. So excited to be able to stream in the playoffs again. Please smash that like button and leave your thoughts in the comment section below. Of course, some of your teams are going to get eliminated. So, you know what? You can get upset with me. These are my predictions, and I have a lot of respect for your teams. I have a whole bunch of jerseys. I'm wearing my Blues jersey in respect for the defending Cup champs, but we'll see who I think could win the Stanley Cup this year through this reseeding format, through this 2014 playoff format. So we're going to start just by looking at the two sides of the round robins. So if you're looking at the top four for the division teams, and of course Washington and Philly were the top two in the Metro, Tampa and Boston were the top two in the Atlantic. I have it in this order: Washington coming out, getting that first spot, Tampa second spot, Boston third spot, fourth Philly spot. I think for Philly, it's going to be interesting because I think that momentum might not carry right into the round robin right away. And for Boston, there's already been some rumors that Bruce Cassidy might rest some of his players in some of the games. So I'm going with Washington and Tampa coming out hot and getting those top two spots. And on the other side, Vegas, Colorado, St. Louis, and Dallas in that order. It's going to be interesting. Will St. Louis rest some players maybe? I don't think they'll have that mindset. I think Colorado's going to come in hot with all their players coming back. I think Vegas is a team that will come in hot. But it's interesting because Vegas has, I would say, wrote a lot on their fans, and I would say that's going to be interesting as well. I don't know about Dallas, but Dallas is another interesting one that maybe I'm underestimating here, but they have been very inconsistent, and I'm not sure if they'll be ready. But again, they have the goaltending, they have the forward group, they have a couple defense. They could be a sneaky team in these playoffs. So let's start with the Calgary-Winnipeg matchup, and I'm honestly going to stick with my Calgary pick. This is no disrespect at all to the Winnipeg Jets, but I just look at the matchup in its entirety, and I respect a lot of Jets fans on this channel. I just think with Calgary, you have, I would say, a more complete team. Yes, there's the question mark in goaltending, but I believe in Riddick. I do really believe in Riddick. But then I want to say on the other side that I believe the Jets are going to battle for this series. I think this is going to go the full games, and I could see Connor Hellebuyck standing on his head. I'm just worried about that Jets defense. I'm going to go Calgary in 5. Edmonton, Chicago, I'm going to go Edmonton in 5. I think this is going to be another close series. I think overall, if you're looking at the Chicago Blackhawks, they've got that experience, and I did my playoff preview, but I'm going to go Edmonton Oilers. I really trust in Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl to have a big playoffs, well-rested. Vancouver Canucks versus Minnesota Wild. I'm going to go Vancouver Canucks. I just think they're the more exciting team. You know what? I think it's going to come down to the Canucks, what they can do in a full 5-game series. If it gets to that, I think the Minnesota Wild have the ability to control a game, have a solid defensive game. But you know what? They don't really have a goaltender that they can say, this is the guy. And you know what? That's the same for a couple other teams. But the Minnesota Wild, it's not like they have these big stars. And with no goaltender, I would just have huge question marks with that team. And Predators, Coyotes, I really want to say Coyotes, but I'm going to go Predators here more because I think the experience is there just throughout their lineup. I mean, I'm looking at the Coyotes and I see Taylor Hall, I see Phil Kessel. So the experience is there on that side too, and they've got a great goalie tandem. But I think I have a little more confidence in the Preds. The fact that they had a rough year but still were, I mean, look, they were the 6th seed. They're the 6th seed on the west side. So the fact that they were kind of known to have a bad year, but they still finished as the 6th seed, that says something. So I think they will be ready for the playoffs. Other side, Toronto Maple Leafs, Blue Jackets. I'm going with Leafs. This is just a situation where, you know what, this isn't even a first round, and I think the Leafs in a 5-game series will be the Blue Jackets. My only concern is if a guy like Merzlikins gets hot. Outside of that, yes, they have a solid defense group, but I think that Leafs offense will be too much for them to handle. Penguins, Canadians. There's too many question marks around the Canadians. Even if a guy like Carey Price gets hot, I just think with question mark about Max Domi, question mark about a couple of their forwards, I just don't know if they'll be ready. And I'm not saying that it's going to be a sweep, but I am pretty confident in the Penguins in this. And the Florida Panthers versus New York Islanders. Honestly, I've heard a lot of you, and you know what? I underestimated in my mind Barry Trotz and his presence, and I thought about it, and I do want to make my pick, the New York Islanders. I think this one's going to be close. I don't know if this is going to be the most exciting series, but if I'm looking at this series, I think it will go to 5. I'm going to go New York Islanders in this case. and Rangers and Hurricanes. This is another one that I think people need to stop looking at the season series. I don't care if the Rangers swept the Hurricanes in the season series. I honestly don't care. I'm actually going to give the Rangers, because I think this could go either way. So I'm making the effort to show that I do have faith in the Rangers, and this could go either way. But my point is, for all the Rangers fans or anyone that's relying on the season series to make the point, we had this huge break. Do not rely on a season series. The Lightning were so confident in that Blue Jackets series last year. They swept the season series, and what happened? So never look to a season series when you're looking at a playoff matchup. They are completely different. It does not translate. I am going to go with the Rangers here. I think this series could go either way. I think the Hurricanes goaltending is a question mark. We'll see if Mrazek can do well. But that Hurricanes defense versus that Rangers defense, very good matchup. Both very solid defense groups. I would look at the offense and go, hey, the Rangers, they're relying on more of a couple guys versus the Hurricanes that have some underrated depth that saw them step up in the playoffs last year. So that's going to be interesting. I'll give it to the Rangers, but I think this could be a very competitive series. So we've got our play-ins done. These are the guys that are moving on. So let's go to the east side for the reseeding. And the Washington Capitals, they're the best seed. We'll play the worst seed to come out of it, which is the Rangers. So Rangers, Capitals first round. Second seed, the Lightning. They'll play the second worst seed, which is the Toronto Maple Leafs. So the Lightning will play the Leafs. So a lot of people were excited about that potential matchup before the new format. And we still get that first round matchup. Boston Bruins, third seed. They will play the New York Islanders through the reseeding format. And the Philadelphia Flyers, so we'll get the Battle of Pennsylvania round 1, and they will play the Pittsburgh Penguins. So that's going to be interesting, and I think that one's going to be a close series either way. We'll go on the other side. So the Vegas Golden Knights, they'll play the worst seed to come out of the first, the play-in rounds, and they will play the Calgary Flames. So that's going to be a really interesting matchup. The Avalanche will play the second worst seed, which is the Vancouver Canucks. And the St. Louis Blues will play the Nashville Predators. So we've seen that matchup in the playoffs before. And the Dallas Stars will play the Edmonton Oilers. A lot of people think the Oilers should have had one of those round robin spots anyways, but the Stars had a better point percentage. So that is your first round matchups. So let's start on the East, like I said, with the Rangers Capitals. And I do think the Rangers could have a chance in this series. I'm going to go with the experience. I'm not sure. Again, it's going to be really concerning in my mind if a team like the Rangers that wins that play-in round, or the Hurricanes, if they play a team like the Capitals, they could be riding a lot of momentum. But I'll go with the Capitals because I think the experience will prevail there. Islanders, Bruins, I'm going to go Bruins. So again, it's going to be reseeding, so it's not Bruins versus Capitals in this case. Penguins versus Flyers. I'm going to go Penguins. In some of my other brackets and examples, I talked about how I'm really high on the Flyers, and I am. I honestly am high on the Flyers. But again, if a situation comes where the Flyers, they're flat-footed in the round-robin games and they just don't feel that momentum, and the Penguins feel that momentum after beating the Canadiens, I could see it. It's just one of those things, guys. It's such a confusing playoffs, and it's reseeding. It's 24 teams. I think it could go either way. Of course, this is my final one. I could see the Flyers going even to the Eastern Conference Final, maybe all the way. I think this is going to be one of the most exciting first-round matchups we see. Penguins versus Flyers. That matchup is always really exciting. So I'll go Penguins. And then I'm going to go Leafs versus Lightning. And I obviously don't read into season series, like I said. Leafs did well against the Lightning this year. But I'm also looking at the situation, I think the Lightning could go far. I think the Leafs could go far. I think both teams. So it's similar to the Penguins Flyers. I think if the Lightning win this matchup, they could go all the way. If the Leafs win this matchup, they could go all the way. I'm going to go Leafs. Leafs versus Capitals, that's a rematch of 2017. That's what it would be. So Capitals go up here. They would play the Leafs because the Capitals were the best seed coming out of the round robin. The Leafs were the worst seed to come out of this first round. And then it would be a Penguins, Bruins second round matchup. Really exciting second round in the East. Vegas Golden Knights versus the Calgary Flames. I'm going to go Calgary, actually. I think this one's really debatable. I think a lot of people are underestimating the Vegas Golden Knights, and I'm probably included in that. But I think the Vegas Golden Knights could come out hot in the round robin and then maybe make some noise. Dallas Stars versus Edmonton Oilers. I'm going to take the Edmonton Oilers. Again, I think the Dallas Stars are another team. Maybe they benefit from this break. They were really struggling towards the end. Maybe that doesn't translate and they start fresh for the playoffs. But I'm going to continue that trust in Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl. And you know what? I think their depth is underrated. Not many people are talking about James Neal. That playoff experience, I think it needs to be talked about more. Vancouver Canucks, Colorado Avalanche. I'm going to go Colorado. I don't think there's going to be an upset here. Vancouver could be a sneaky team, but Colorado, I think, is just ready. Maybe they get an upset because they just have so much expectations. I mean, look at the Lightning. Look how many expectations they had. So maybe the Avalanche expectations don't translate, but I'm still going to put some faith in the Avalanche. Nashville versus St. Louis. So upset alert. I'm going to go Nashville. I got my Blues jersey on. You know how much respect I got for the Blues. There's going to be upsets in the playoffs, guys. People need to realize that. People need to stop just assuming, oh, it's going to be St. Louis, Colorado, Western Conference Final, Lightning, Flyers, or Lightning, Capitals, Eastern Conference Final. It's just not it. There's upsets that happen. You barely see that. You absolutely barely see that in the playoffs. So you know there's going to be upsets. So in this case, that means Colorado will play the Calgary Flames, and the Edmonton Oilers will play the Nashville Predators through the reseeding. So, like I said, Calgary is the 8th seed. Colorado was the 2nd seed coming out of the round robin. Edmonton, that 5 seed, playing the 6th seed Nashville Predators. So that's your second round matchups. We'll stay on the west side here, and here we go. The Calgary Flames get revenge from last year and beat the Avalanche. Like I said, guys, it doesn't always happen in that way. I think we could get the Calgary Flames advancing. I think people are like, why are you so high on the Calgary Flames this year? Because no one else is. Guys, the Calgary Flames are a good team. When they're hot, they are hot. If anyone watched the Calgary Flames in that certain stretch towards the second half, you know that they have the potential to do something. When Riddick's on his game, he's a very good goaltender. It's the playoffs. Anything can happen. That's why we love the NHL playoffs. Edmonton Oilers, Nashville Predators. I want it. You want it. I think there's a possibility for it to happen with COVID, with everything crazy, with the Battle of Alberta matchup we got this year. I want to see it in the playoffs. I think it's very possible to happen, and I think it would be crazy to see in a Western Conference Final. I want Edmonton and Calgary in the Western Conference Final, and I think it could happen. East side, Washington, Toronto. I could go Toronto here. I'm going to go Washington. Here's the thing. Toronto could get revenge from 2017. If Washington beats a team like the Rangers that could be hot coming out of that, I could see Washington winning. Again, we'll see who Toronto faces. If Toronto played Boston, people would probably write Toronto off. If Toronto plays Washington, they'll probably write Toronto off. We'll see what Toronto does. We can't really say much about Toronto because they've had 3 first-round exits. For all Leaf fans, I think let's wait and see. Let's absolutely wait and see. But I'll take Washington here, and then I will take Pittsburgh over Boston. Crosby versus Ovechkin. Guys, imagine this. I fully believe this could happen. And a Battle of Alberta on one side, Crosby versus Ovechkin on the other side, that would be absolutely insane. And for the Stanley Cup final, I'm going to take the Edmonton Oilers versus the Pittsburgh Penguins. Crosby versus McDavid. Stanley Cup final. And your Stanley Cup winner for the 2020, whatever you want to call it. People are going to call it the COVID Cup. People are going to just call it the Stanley Cup. I don't think there should be an asterisk on this. I think if you go through a 2014 format, I think you deserve it. And the Stanley Cup champs will be the Edmonton Oilers. I think that would be absolutely insane for Connor McDavid to win, Crosby to pass the baton to McDavid, Draisaitl after what a year, a heart potential year for Draisaitl, and just Mike Smith standing on his head, because I believe Mike Smith is frustrated. He wants to win. He absolutely wants to win. And maybe there's the question marks there. Maybe there's the question marks in terms of depth. Maybe there's the question marks. Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl. We saw Pittsburgh have just a bunch of players step in. We saw them have injuries. We saw them not have a defense group. So if the Oilers look at that team and see Pittsburgh win the way they won, riding off of Crosby, riding off of Malkin, Fleury in the first 2 rounds, and then passing it to Matt Murray, anything can happen. Absolutely anything can happen. And I think this would be an absolutely crazy Stanley Cup final, crazy conference finals. It would be so much fun. I would love to see this. So obviously there's other scenarios where I'd love to see, but let me know what you think about this. Again, it's my predictions based on thinking about it, potential reseeding formats. And people need to realize this. This is almost impossible. These picks are going to be wrong. There's so many picks here that are going to be wrong. The reseeding format makes it almost impossible to predict because one little matchup tweak, and I'll put an example here. If the Rangers win this matchup against the Capitals, the Rangers would be playing the Bruins and the Penguins would play the Leafs. Like, that's what I'm talking about. One little matchup difference could change the whole next round. So if the Rangers won, they'd be playing the Bruins. Penguins would play the Leafs. Maybe the Leafs beat the Penguins. Maybe the Rangers beat the Bruins. Who knows? And that's a totally different conference finals. So people need to understand that with the reseeding format, so many things could be different. So many things could change. Thank you for watching. I hope to see you on the channel more going forward. And definitely leave your thoughts. Smash that like button. This was John from Hot Take Hockey. Have a good one. Peace out.